have memories of your first day of school, but your body has memories that predate your consciousness. Deep within you, a library of threats is being constantly updated. This isn't a neurological process. It's a cellular one, managed by your adaptive immune system. Every time you fight off a cold, cells are created that will remember that specific virus for the rest of your life. But how can a cell, a microscopic bag of proteins and lipids, possibly remember anything? The answer lies not in a brain, but in a distributed network of molecular surveillance. Every one of your cells is constantly taking inventory. It chops up samples of the proteins it's making, both its own and those of any virus that might be hiding inside, and displays these fragments on its outer surface. This display case is a protein called the Major Histocompatibility Complex, or MHC. Think of it as a cellular status update, broadcast for roving security patrols. These patrols, your T cells, are constantly reading these MHC displays, looking for anything that seems foreign or out of place. This is antigen presentation, the cell showing its ID to the immune system. Before a T cell is allowed to patrol your body, it must attend a brutal and unforgiving school. This school is a small organ behind your breastbone called the thymus. Here, trillions of new T cells are generated, each with a unique receptor capable of recognizing one specific molecular shape. The final exam is a two-part test. First, can the T cell recognize your own MHC display cases? If not, it's useless and destroyed. Second, and more importantly, does it react too strongly to your own self-proteins being displayed? If it does, it's a potential traitor that could cause an autoimmune disease. It is also destroyed. Over 98% of all T cells fail this exam and are forced into cellular suicide. This process is called negative selection. But how can the thymus, a single organ, teach T cells what the rest of the body looks like? How does it know what proteins are in your eyes, or your pancreas, or your skin? The answer is a master regulator gene called AIR, which stands for autoimmune regulator. This gene does something remarkable. It forces cells in the thymus to produce thousands of proteins that are normally only found in other parts of the body. It creates a molecular ghost, a phantom representation of the entire organism within this one small organ. T cells are tested against this phantom pancreas, this ghost retina, this spectral skin, ensuring they don't attack the real thing later on. T cell education is about learning what not to attack. B cell learning is about something far more creative: invention. When a new pathogen appears, B cells that have a reasonably good-fitting antibody are activated. They then retreat into structures in your lymph nodes called germinal centers. Inside these centers, they begin to mutate the genes for their antibodies at a rate 1,000,000 times faster than the rest of your genome. This is somatic hypermutation. It's a frantic, high-speed evolutionary arms race, generating thousands of antibody variations. The B cells producing the best-fitting antibodies survive and are selected to become plasma cells, pumping out the perfect weapon for this new invader. They didn't just remember a threat, they invented the solution. This entire system of learning and education is incredibly precise, but it's not foolproof. A mistake can be catastrophic. If a rogue T cell, one that recognizes a self-protein, manages to escape the thymus, it can initiate an attack against your own tissues. This is the basis of autoimmune diseases like type 1 diabetes, where T cells learn to destroy the insulin-producing cells of the pancreas. Similarly, If a B cell's frantic mutation process accidentally creates an antibody that targets your own DNA, it can lead to lupus. The system's greatest strength, its ability to adapt and learn, is also the source of its most devastating failures. For decades, the story was simple. The adaptive system learns. The innate system is just dumb, brute force. But that is turning out to be wrong. We are now discovering something called trained immunity. Certain innate immune cells, like macrophages, can fundamentally change after encountering a pathogen. They don't create specific antibodies, but their metabolism and genetic expression are rewired through epigenetic changes to be more aggressive and responsive in the future. Incredibly, this training isn't specific. A macrophage trained by a fungal infection might become better at killing bacteria later on. It's less like remembering a specific face and more like learning a general sense of danger. This idea of trained immunity echoes a ghost in biology, Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. His theory of the inheritance of acquired characteristics that an organism could pass on traits it developed during its lifetime was largely replaced by Darwinian evolution. But at the cellular level, something very Lamarckian is happening. The epigenetic changes that train a macrophage are an acquired trait. And when that macrophage divides, its daughter cells can inherit this trained state. You are not passing this immunity to your children, but within your own body, a form of Lamarckian inheritance is happening constantly. Your cells are learning from their experiences and passing that knowledge down to their own descendants, blurring the lines of what we thought we knew about evolution and memory. So what we have is not just a defense system. It is a cognitive system. It has billions of agents that sense the world, communicate using a chemical language of cytokines, and form memories of past events. They run simulations through somatic hypermutation, selecting the best outcomes. They learn self from non-self through a rigorous educational curriculum. This network is capable of pattern recognition on a molecular scale that rivals neural networks. It doesn't use a brain, but perhaps it doesn't need one. The distinction between innate and learned, between mind and body, is far more ambiguous than we ever imagined. Your immune system isn't just learning, it is thinking. Monotony has grown fast. Nearly 2,700 people have watched in the last few weeks, yet less than 0.03% are subscribed. It would mean a lot if you joined by hitting subscribe. And again, thanks for watching.